as posted.
Moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? What are you doing here if you're opposed? No,
Joyce,
no one opposed. Okay.
Joyce, one question. Who's taking the minutes?
Sandy and I are both taking notes to put them together since Marilyn can't come today.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a question, Joyce.
Sure,
or
Susan.
Sandy. Can you record the audio from a Zoom meeting?
Of course, you can hear my phone never rings at home. Yes, we are recording, and it is on the website.
The reason I ask is that if you record, it makes it a whole lot easier for the secretaries to go back over the recording and get really good notes.
Yes, and
Good point, Susan.
And that's what I told Marilyn, that I will send her the recording. That's what I usually do, is I send her the recording after our meeting. However, it is on the website for anybody to see if we made any mistakes.
Well, I'd like to begin by introducing members of the public. We have 3 here, but 2 of them are familiar faces, 1 not. Tara Monroe, of course, even though you can't see her picture, we can all picture her. Tara, she's signing in on the good computer now. Barry Margolin, also a familiar face. And then a new person today, Deborah Malpass. Deborah, am I pronouncing your last name correctly?
Yes, you are.
Okay, welcome. I made Deborah's acquaintance just 2 hours ago. She got in touch with Roby Whitehouse and was interested in finding out about Solarize Plus and what was involved with that. And she's trying to make a decision about home solar. So a big welcome to Deborah, her first appearance at Yarmouth Energy Committee, and we hope it won't be her last.
Absolutely, thank you.
All right, we lost Mike.
Oh, we've talked to Mike already.
I know we lost him. He's not here on the Zoom.
Oh. He'll find his way back. He's an engineer. Sandy, I don't have any edits for the, I haven't received from Marilyn any of the edits people sent her. I know I sent her one this morning. Do we have an updated minutes, or should we just let that go till the next meeting?
You probably should let it go to the next meeting because she did not send anything to me.
Okay. So we'll skip over approval of outstanding minutes and we'll go to the Cape Light Compact update. This week, we have 4 different items from the Cape Light Compact update. The first is, and this is important for people who might want energy audits, the Compact has received permission to extend the pandemic incentive through August 31st. So to receive the cap-free, more than the $4,000 usual cap for insulation and weatherization, a customer has to call for an energy audit, which can be virtual or in person, by August 31st. The audit doesn't have to be done by then, but you have to be in the line for audits. The numbers for audits is 800-797-6699. Just a note, since Compact staff are continuing to work remotely, you'll probably end up leaving a voicemail and a staff member working remotely will call you right back. And another reminder, you'll need your electric account number. The second thing involves something that I just sent to the energy list, the Cape and Vineyard Electrification Office pilot program by the Compact needs letters of support, electronic letters, to the Department of Public Utilities. The Cape and Vineyard Electrification Office is the strategic electrification pilot for low and moderate income customers. And that's to give a set of equipment that will reduce their dollar and emissions amount for their home energy. The DPU is doing a proceeding on it, and the deadline to file a letter of support with the DPU file room is 5 p.m. Monday, August 10th. If you go to what I sent you in an email about half an hour ago, you'll see a longer explanation of the program and a link you can click on to get the full complicated multi-numeric address for the appropriate DPU file room. This is DPU proceeding 20-40 in that it was started as the 40th proceeding in year 2020. They would usually have more, but the pandemic has obviously slowed down even the DPU. Third thing is that the compact board doesn't meet in August, so our next regular meeting is at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, September 9th. And then the final note is an ongoing piece, the Massachusetts Virtual Energy Conference for Educators, which is sponsored by the Compact and sponsored by the National Energy Education Development Organization in Washington, D.C., began on Sunday, and it will continue through Wednesday, August 5th. I'm taking part in it, and so are two Mattakese middle school teachers, one of whom is Regina Wood, who you remember is our Educator Compact member. If you would like to see that, I have, with what I sent to Marilyn and sent to Sandy just now on the Compact news for this week, I have a Zoom link. If you tell me that you'd like to join, tomorrow it's 8:30 to 1:30. If you'd like to join as an observer, speak up now and I'll send you the Zoom link for that. Okay, I understand. We all have lives. Gotcha. So anyway, that's it for the Compact, unless you have any questions about incentives.
I've got one thing, Joyce. I'd be happy to edit that letter unless somebody else has already done it, just for the Cape Light Compact. I did it for FCN.
Okay.
Yep, there you are.
It would be great to have individual letters, but I think there is some point in having a group letter if somebody makes a motion to have a letter of support from the Yarmouth Energy Committee.
I would make a motion to have a letter from the Energy of Yarmouth.
Okay, is there a second?
I second that.
Okay, is there discussion?
And again, I can edit it while we're actually meeting right now and send it back out to all of you. And if anybody has more edits they want to make, and then Joyce, you could send it.
That's efficiency.
Let's think. Is it the best use of our meeting time to draft a letter, or do we want to?
No, I'm sorry. I'm just, I can't help sometimes multitasking.
Only Susan could do these three things at once. I know I'm not capable. Thank you.
Let's take advantage. Let's take advantage.
So do we give permission for any member interested, and that would include me, to work with Susan's superior editing skills to get a short statement of support from the Compact?
Yes. Great idea.
Okay. So we decide to send a letter of support for the CVEO. Okay. Thank you. Steve, I know you have to leave a little early today. Do you want to give us your news from CVEC?
Yes. Yeah. Starting out, one of the reports would be on the senior center, the photovoltaic installation. That was the various contracts were approved at the selectmen's meeting at the end of July. I believe it was July 28th. So we're moving forward on that. There's three.
Somebody needs to mute. We're getting other conversations. Thank you.
Still happening. That's good. Oh, no, it's still happening. Now it's gone.
Now it's gone. Okay.
Okay, good.
I think
No.
it's
So again, the senior center photovoltaic installation was approved by the Board of Selectmen. So that
Oh, that's good.
3 contracts. So we're moving forward on that. We go to next step would be, for example, to go to Eversource to develop the requirements for a interconnection agreement. Parcel E, that's the transfer station. We do have town approval for that. And we are working with the Department of Transportation because it is an exit from the Mid-Cape, exit 8. So we have to coordinate with them and get their agreement to place the solar installation aside the exit.
Steve, is that Mass Highway Division? What would that be?
Yeah, that's the Mass Highway.
Mass Highway, okay.
Yeah. So yeah, and it's unseen. It's over the hill. It's there's a tree line there that blocks view. So I don't see where they have any objection to that.
Okay.
Moving on. And I'll save the Lynx golf course to last, but the backup energy supply system, the battery at the high school, working with the state to work through some issues insofar as their dollar contribution to that effort. The COVID has kind of slowed things down along those lines. But we are pursuing it. There's emails that go out to them trying to add some urgency to that project. Let's see, round 6, the next possible round for solar installations is, and I believe I mentioned this before, is coming together with a variety of suggestions, kind of looking at the presentation that was made, it was about 6 weeks ago maybe. Rich Bienvenu, even though he was in his new position, he was involved with that. And there's a list of potential installations on that. The new DPW building, a backup battery over at Fire Station 3 is being looked at, even though there's an installation at that location, but looking at a backup battery at that installation, and some solar canopies, parking lot canopies.
Would those be for the DPW building?
They'd be for, there's a variety of buildings that were being thought of, maybe the police station, for example. The police station, incidentally, does not have any solar on the roof, but it was discussed back in another round, but looking at the police station, it's really ideally suited for a roof installation. But again, the possibility of parking lot canopy installations at that location.
Great.
Then getting over to the Lynx golf course, and Barry has been involved in this, and I very much appreciate, Barry, your contributions. There was a warrant on the last town meeting item. It was agenda item 23, which dealt with the Lynx golf course, and it asked for town approval, town member approval for the Board of Selectmen and the town administrator to take up that issue and invite, I guess, whoever is involved insofar as town committees are concerned, which would be finance, the golf committee, ourselves, and we need some legal advice, but to develop a plan to go forward with that if approved. But in the meantime, I think there's a need to collect some information so it can be discussed at the next town meeting. And Barry, did you want to add anything to that? I know you've talked to Tom Barron and had some contact with another member of the golf committee.
Nothing useful now, I think.
Okay, I know you've been exchanging emails with very well laid out, and I appreciate that.
Okay, any questions for Steve?
I actually did
myself.
I actually did have a question that I got from a citizen of Yarmouth this morning. By surprise, asked me, why aren't there any solar panels on the DPW buildings? And I explained to him, he was actually at the town meeting that voted on it. He heard Susan's statement.
Susan.
Susan Starkey.
Yes.
About,
no, I said go Susan. She was.
Yes. So
she brought our attention to it.
So, and I told him I would ask this afternoon for an update as to sort of, is it being worked on?
Well, the concept was they were going to build a building. Okay, the building was designed, the roof was designed to support a solar panel installation. But I know we had Jeff Colby, he attended one of our previous meetings, and he said it was not in the design plans, but it would be sought on a future CVAC round to install the installation. And I remember asking him if there were provisions for example, any access within the building that would minimize just tubing or chases within the building that would minimize an installation after the fact. But Jeff did say it was not part of the original design, but it is something that is being sought in round 6.
And I will tell you that with the new school, that's going to be the same process. However, it is part of the design of the new school that solar will be added as one of the CVAC rounds.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Cindy.
Joyce, at the last meeting, I had a request to get the specifics on the Lynx golf course from Steve K. Well, I did better than that. I got Steve K to sit in and he'll tell us about some of the history of the Lynx golf course. Steve?
Okay, now just let's make sure Steve G is done, right?
Yes, I am.
Yes, okay. Recognizing Steve K for the whole history of the Lynx course. We are having a dinner meeting, right?
Steve, you're on mute. Steve K, you're on mute. Lower left-hand corner of your screen, maybe?
Good. Yep.
Did I do it?
You're on.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm off. Somebody, okay. It's a long history. Jack Howard. I don't know if many of you remember him. He was a selectman probably 20 or 30 years ago. Anyways, the problem with converting the Lynx course to solar is that the Lynx course is recreational land. In order to take it over, we have to find additional acreage that is also a recreational land in the town of Yarmouth. And however many acres we use, that has to be converted into additional recreational land from somewhere else. The problem is we don't know if we have recreational land of the same volume that we would have, that we would use to put up solar panels. And we were not sure how we were going to get around that, other than it would have to be working with our state legislators and seeing if there isn't something that we can do to, unbeknownst to the general public, although that's not accurate. We have to find recreational land or something else, and then you can go forward. And it just seems it seems a shame that we have a bunch of land losing money in the golf operation. If it's not losing money, it's certainly not making anywhere near what we would make with solar panels. Solar panels, you look at, ask Tom Barron, you're talking about at least $500,000 and probably more. And it's already cleared. The land is already cleared. But the problems are significant as far as, I think it's 93 and 97A recreational.
97, Article
97, yeah. Whatever it is, we have to work around that, and I'm not sure where that stands. That's my report. I'm sticking to it.
And I'm sure you're all thinking, don't we have a lot of town land in Yarmouth? And we do, but it's amazing how much of it is affected by the placement of wells and can't be used, and all sorts of considerations like that. So well, it's not so easy as you'd think.
That was the thing we were hoping to do, was designate areas, and whether they were used for recreation or not, they could be, although they aren't at this point in time. We would have satisfied the legal requirement by providing recreational land. If it's not used for recreational land, then that's okay.
Yeah.
So
but some parcels wouldn't be allowed to be designated recreational because of
yeah, but the point is they don't have to be contiguous. They can be in different areas, as long as it adds up to the 90s, however many acres we use.
So a square yard here, a square yard there, we could maybe get it together.
That's my understanding.
Well, if it's designated as conservation land, it can't also be designated as recreation, correct?
Yes.
That would be my understanding, yes.
Yeah, correct.
I mean, it's too bad, because it would do so much good for the town and the tax rate and the money, and there should be a way to do, in my opinion, there should be a way to do it.
I mean,
something creative.
For my 2 cents, it's always seemed to me that the Article 97 obstacle is sort of the red herring, that if there were a consensus in the town, you had the approval of town meeting and maybe even a referendum, if it was as good an outcome as it looks like it would be, and there were no opposition, you could get the legislature to solve that problem. The real hurdle is the one that Dan Knapnick told us about when he attended the Energy Committee meeting and talked about the obstacle being that any large-scale solar on that site would be required to pay the cost of a new substation, because the Eversource grid is overloaded and can't absorb the scale of new solar generation that would be possible on that site. And so it seemed to me that the problem needs to be dealt with at a larger scale.
I'll bet that's another red herring from Eversource.
Yeah.
They're making it up as they go along. And somebody would have to look at that legally, and I bet there's ways around that too.
But it
just doesn't want it. It would be bad for Eversource.
The new substation has been discussed for a couple of years, or that is, Eversource has been prodded to come up with a plan. And I think it's unfair, and Barry, you may have made this argument as well. It would be unfair for the golf course, the Lynx installation, to totally support a new substation. Obviously, that might be something that would be a major roadblock to the Lynx installation. If the Eversource service within the town is at its, let's say, peak performance in terms of supporting electricity development and distribution, there should be a prorated cost across the town, in my opinion, to support the new substation.
Well, actually,
What does the substation cost?
It's significant, you know, I think on the scale of tens of millions.
Yep.
So it's
It
not-
also
not that
takes
it's-
up acreage itself, does it not?
Not significantly, I think. The real issue is, does it get borne by the total rate base? It's not a matter of spreading the cost across the town. It's a matter of making it part of Eversource's cost of
Doing
providing
business.
service state, you know, regionally.
Regionally,
It becomes
yeah.
part of the rate base, and that's either a question for the DPU or a question for the legislature. But as a policy matter, since the state wants to increase renewable energy, it's a fatal flaw if any new renewable source has to pay for a whole new substation. It's a question of utility policy. Should the utility absorb that cost and spread it over the whole rate base? It's not a cost to the utility. It's a cost to everybody who buys electricity. But that to switch from fossil fuel power to renewable power, that's a kind of critical path issue.
I still think CVEC should be taking over distribution responsibilities for the whole grid, for the whole Cape and Islands.
Good luck with that. I'm not sure CVEC wants to.
I'm not sure CVEC wants to do that. I
It's
don't,
a
first of all,
It's a logical thing. The compact is the supplier and CVEC becomes the distributor.
But CVEC's currently the generator.
Yeah.
You can't have generator and distribution together anymore.
Oh, okay.
And CVEC is all of the towns and various entities. CVEC is let's say a quasi-municipal entity, and the only money that CVEC has is working capital, really, to support CVEC. All of the periodically any excess money over the working capital, for example, is redistributed back to the towns.
But the responsibility for the distribution is ultimately with the municipalities. They've given up that that right or whatever it is, and handed it over to over a 100-year period to Eversource.
Yeah, they missed their chance when the Cape was tiny, tiny towns and never thought that it would be interested in that, not to become municipal light districts. But history went the way it did. Okay, any other questions for either Steve about CVEC or the Lynx? Okay, then.
Well, are we going to proceed? Are we going to proceed with investigating, or is it a dead issue based on the cost or what Eversource is?
Again, what was Proposition 23 under the last town meeting has been postponed to the next town meeting, so that the town would at that next meeting would take the issue up and decide whether to move forward or not.
To explore financing a study of it. So yeah, so Steve, stick around for the town meeting, okay? Steve K?
Steve K,
Yes.
Steve B, Barry.
Steve K has an offer on the table. I might be moving by then. I'm not sure. So
Well,
this could be my swan song.
If you care about the Lynx golf course, you stay where you are until after town meeting.
Yeah, let me run that by my wife.
Yeah.
But I do want to say, I think that by the time of the town meeting, the Energy Committee should consider taking a position to support the idea of a study, because bluntly, I don't think Tom Barron has the
credibility,
either the taste or the political will to you know, make the case for it. I mean, when I talked to him, he really was resistant to
Politicking for
to
it.
caring about the outcome or to explaining, you know, considering compromising with the golf folks, just how to get more buy-in, and that the Energy Committee is probably a better advocate for at least going forward to figure this out than Tom is. And it's not, he doesn't own this, as Steve points
When is the
out.
next town meeting?
November sometime.
Well, if I'm here, I'll be happy to speak.
Thanks.
Have you been working with Tim Whalen at all on this?
Not I.
Not to my knowledge.
Oh, how cute.
Yeah, again, it's I think a decision on the townspeople to
Yeah, past 23.
empower
figures.
the selectmen and the town administrator to move ahead. And that's kind of an initial step. I think what we were talking about prior to the town meeting approval of that request to the selectmen would be gathering some information. And I see that as being something that, you know, almost a roundtable with the golf committee, energy committee, and the finance committee, that we would talk together, and then maybe a town representative come together and work out something that would be presented at the at town meeting.
That would be very interesting, because you know the golf committee would be clearly against it. Energy committee would probably very much for it. And then
How about a community-based solar garden being installed there, where the stakeholders are citizens of the town of Yarmouth?
Yeah, that's a solar farm. Yeah, a solar. That's something that's happening in Harwich, for example.
Might be a tough year to make the town give up any revenue stream from that space for individual community stakeholders. I think it's going to be a really desperate year for town income.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so next item on the agenda is update, if there is one, on town energy progress. Tara, is there any big town news about energy that we should know?
Hi there.
Hi.
I don't have anything specific that's new. Have you all seen the fiscal year 2021 Board of Selectmen goals? They are posted on the website. It's a draft. As of the last meeting, they were still finalizing, but I think they've pretty much come to a finalization. I haven't seen anything final that's been printed. I do have the draft here in front of me, and goal number 9 directly relates to energy. So I don't want to read anything from here if you've all seen it.
Why don't you read it? I saw the Board of Selectmen meeting, but I don't know which one number 9 is, but it seems like it. Oh, go ahead. Everybody else willing to just have Tara read it to us?
Thanks. Very brief recap, very brief. And so 2020 key actions as presented to the Board of Selectmen regarding the Cape Cod Energy Park. There was a recent lease agreement with CVEC that'll bring up to 700 kilowatts of power to be used to supply the septage facility with electricity. There was an MVP planning and engineering grant in the amount of $150,000 awarded for the purpose of creating a resilient microgrid for the septage facility, transfer station, YFD Station 3, and the new DPW facility. That work is complete, and the new application for construction has been submitted to the Mass DEP. There was an RFP for the lease of land for additional parcels at number 50 Workshop Road, where the Cape Cod Energy Park, address of Exit 8. that was advertised, and the RFP could bring a solar/PV array or a brick and mortar facility. The anaerobic digester project is progressing. With regard to solar installations, recent CVEC installations include panels on YFD fire stations and 50 Workshop Road. MVP grant proposes additional solar panels for DPW, YFD number 3 and 50 Workshop Road locations. And town meeting, which you discussed earlier, approved the ground mount leases that could include solar canopies. With regard to energy conservation, the recent work included the changing of lamping throughout the town buildings. The recent work also included the installation of programmable electronic controls at the town hall, for instance, heat and air conditioning, in order to kind of climate control and therefore save energy. So we're not relying on the old wall units, leaving them on. You know, people forget, they leave them on. So, you know, you're heating an empty office all night or all weekend in some cases. So this is more of a climate control. They're still working on that, I know, in my office as well. Additional green communities measures, they'll continue to be installed as per the GC plan. Additionally, the town, once the work is completed, will be eligible to apply for an additional $250,000 of the Green Communities Competitive Grant. I think most of you were here when we were awarded a Green Communities member status. And the Solarized grant was mentioned as well. So that was exciting. Yarmouth received a Solarized grant from the Clean Energy Center to assist homeowners with the siting of PV panels on their homes. And then I'm not sure if this one is going to move forward, but it's on here in bold. Request to the Mass DOT if they have interest in a park and ride facility along 50 Workshop Road. So that I will send that link out to everybody. I'm going to send out the link, and it's going to take you right to, I wasn't sure if you had all seen it, so my other PC came up. I've drafted it. I've got a link in there for the MVP, the Municipal Vulnerability Preparedness program, and that's through a link through mass.gov. I'll send that out to everybody. That was on the last email that came in from Joyce. I should just be able to do a reply all. I just
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay, if I don't have somebody's email that's here at the meeting, just let me know. Feel free to send me an email, and I will be happy to, send the link out to you as well.
Okay, I think the only email that you don't have is Deborah Malpass's. Deborah, you want to give Tara your email really quickly?
You're on mute.
At hotmail.com and PASS.
Okay, I didn't get that, any of it. Feel free, I don't want to waste any time at the meeting, but my email address is on the last email that went out. If you would like to send me an email, I'd be happy to send the
She
links
didn't
out.
get that last email because we only encountered her interest today.
Okay.
Deb, I'll send your email to Tara. Don't worry about it.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay,
it's just that the only thing I caught was the PSS, and I didn't catch anything else. I'm sorry.
You can also put it in the chat.
I was just going to say, put it in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Okay.
If Deb would put it in the chat, then that would be good.
Yeah,
Okay.
You can send it to me through chat. That's fine too. I can take it that way. That'll be great.
Hey.
I don't have anything else. I would be happy to answer questions if I'm able.
Well, Tara, that's a lot right there.
Can I ask one question?
Tell me about it. My mouth is dry. Yes, sure.
With the MVP, does that include the community visioning? And is there anything that's going to happen with that this year when we're COVID?
Okay, so the community visioning, I just provided Kathy Williams. I got in touch with Joyce, and I provided Kathy Williams with was either, I think I sent her the document, not the link to the Energy Committee visioning overall plan. So she was, I didn't, get into the whys, but she had requested that. I think maybe it may be a good thing, and I believe Kathy did indicate a willingness a couple months ago when I approached her to attend an Energy Committee meeting, even if it's just for, maybe a specific 30-minute segment or something like that, in order for her to maybe give an update, or she would be better equipped to answer questions with regard to that, I think.
Okay.
I don't know. Is that helpful, I hope?
I think so. For those who don't recognize the name, Kathy Williams is our town planner, so
She's
brings
very
a
good.
lot of knowledge.
She's very good. She's excellent.
Other questions for Tara? What can I say, Tara? Your presentation answered everything. Our heads are spinning from all the
It was
projects.
a lot of information, but it's a lot easier to forget. So that's why I'm going to send out the link, so that because I just wanted to kind of briefly recap everything and then open up for questions. And this is straight off the Board of Selectmen goals. So like I said, I will send that out to everybody, and then you'll be able to review it as well. It's right on the town's website.
Oh, thank you again. Bob, can you give us a quick update on the senior center and our outreach there?
Well, we were off yesterday to a non-start. Because the senior center is closed, no programs are allowed inside it. And we were planning, well, Lisa Noferi, the program person, was planning to have people call in to her to make appointments, and that I would meet them on the porch of the senior center. In this humidity, 2 o'clock in the afternoon is not the funnest place to be to talk about energy matters. So she did not have any calls. I'm beginning to think that is going to, in fact, as long as the senior center is not doing any activities within, except they are trying to do some things with social distancing, that it's going to be some time before the counseling actually takes off.
Thank you.
So you think it could be like a foot of snow, and you'll be out on the bench then holding your consultation, say December-ish?
Yes, exactly, exactly. I mean, the senior center, I mean, it's a huge place, and it seems like it would be ideal for doing activities with the appropriate social distancing. And I think they're trying to do that initially with their wellness activities, exercises, and stuff like that. Of course, the Meals on Wheels program continues, but that just uses one corner, the kitchen, and a lot of that work is of course off-site, and some of the other counseling. So it's going very, very slowly. I had suggested at one point that to my fellow card players that I used to play cards with there, that we just sneak in to the back veranda and set up business on our own, and I got my hand slapped. So it's things are moving very, very slowly there.
Okay.
I also think that we have to figure out some way of making some sort of splashy announcement about the Solarize program. I think that will generate some interest, on the counseling side.
Okay, so we'll talk about that when we get down to the Solarize article. That does seem like a good idea. Any questions for Bob? Well, thanks, Bob, for being willing to counsel seniors on their electricity. Okay, moving on to Energy Committee goal setting with Mike.
Okay, the final annual operating plan's on the website. And instead of referring to this as goal setting, could we please refer to this as the Energy Committee's 2021 Annual Operating Plan?
We can.
Yes, that would be a good thing. Now, as I said, through the heroic efforts of Sandra, it's on the website, but was that plan distributed to anyone else? Joyce, I sent it to you for distribution for you to decide.
No.
Should it be? For example, should it go to the Board of Selectmen?
Let's talk about that. It seems like it might be a good idea. I mean, and one wouldn't want some people in town hall to not have it who might be interested and have them realize that the town planner had it. Can we get some ideas to whom it should go?
Well, I don't know my way around town hall there, so I don't know. Tara might have some ideas.
Tara, should we think of sending this after it's been announced to the selectmen, of course, but should we think of sending this maybe to Mary Alice to be distributed for, you know, the general email for all town staff so they'd be aware of it?
I think Mary Alice would be the place to start. It sounds to me like that's something we absolutely would need some sort of administrative permission to do, or it's entirely possible. We do have somebody that is working with us on the website. I know for our own internal town content, we do have a contact. We go through them and they actually upload our content, and we have to run it by administration first before posting for like the homepage. Internally, I have something that needs to go. I'm not sure about internal. I don't believe that has to go through town administration, but I think for committees, we would need the town administration approval. So yeah, my long answer, but the short one is I think it would be good to start with Mary Alice.
Okay, I was thinking just of like having her send it by email to everyone. I wasn't thinking of posting, but I'm not sure that everyone necessarily needs or wants it. We all get so much email.
Well, and that is absolutely something that every single person in town hall, you know, it's a sign of the times, especially with people not being able to enter town hall for such an extended period of time, that are every person where it's, yes, email is overwhelming.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a group email might be, that's up to the committee.
Overkill, really. Probably.
It is on the website already. It's on the Energy Committee. I actually uploaded it myself. I don't really ask for permission to do it on my page. Angela has given me carte blanche since she feels that I've been doing the website okay, that things are okay, and no one stopped me. So hopefully I won't get in trouble for that. But the operating plan, the Energy Committee operating plan is online on the first page of the Energy site.
Then my feeling would be that's a good place for it to be, and I think that an email probably would be overkill, maybe. That's my feeling, but it's up to the committee.
Well, and if we're encumbered, I mean, we do need to bring the selectmen's attention to the Solarize Plus. We could also mention the annual operating plan when we do that and say, oh, if you're interested, it's on our little corner of the town website, and that might cover everything without blitzing people electronically or using up much time at a meeting. Mike,
Right.
go ahead.
Well, just one question. Are you doing like a PowerPoint presentation, or is it just a kind of a quick verbal dialogue?
Well, given that there's a lot to think about with local government these days,
Yeah.
Mike and I had been pondering whether asking to be just listed in the public comment period and having the Solarize Plus announced there as part of the public comment period. Okay. No PowerPoint, just very informal, might cover it.
Okay.
Okay. Joyce, going back to the plan, I think my personal opinion is that printed copies should be given to the Board of Selectmen, Dan Napick, Rich Bienvenues.
He's now working in Wellfleet. You still want him to get a copy?
He didn't let me finish. His replacement.
Eastham.
There is one. And I think each one of the Energy Committee members should have a printed copy of it. It's nice that it's on the website. That's good. But how many people are going to go and read a 6-page document on the website? Not too many. So anyway, that's my suggestion. I don't know. You need permission from somebody to be able to make a distribution like that?
Nope.
Hard copies?
Nope. I mean, no. I probably, for social spacing, would go do it at Staples and then distribute. Sure.
Somebody in the town can't print it on their printers?
Well, I could go in and print it in the town, but I think they're trying to minimize traffic, even though it's open now.
I believe they're allowing 4 people from the public in at a time right now, from between 10 and 2.
And so if one is before that or after that, it's not busy?
For that, I believe we're only open to the public from 10 to 2. So, and at that and while we're open to the public, only 4 members, this is the last direction that I have received.
Only 4 members of the public.
Only 4 members of the public, because town hall, when I say it's open, the only windows there's only one window open. The rest of the departments are by appointment. So if you needed, for instance, a marriage certificate, I believe you would make an appointment. So the window that's open is the finance window, which handles and deals mainly with like beach stickers, transfer station.
Transfer station.
Disposal. It's an old habit. Excise tax, payments, stuff like that is really what is being handled. Everything else, all the other departments, I believe, I don't want to speak on their behalf, but I believe it would be appointment only, probably on a priority basis versus first come, first serve. But again, I'm not 100% clear there.
And Tara is telling us the unvarnished truth. She is not necessarily a stockholder in Staples, but you can see why I think Staples would be a good idea.
Well, I think you know, I would do anything I possibly can for the committee, but if I would probably be more comfortable if I were to volunteer to do that, if I got permission. I don't believe it would be an issue. I don't.
Well, save your asks for permission for big stuff. Don't waste it on this. So Mike, okay, Susan.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Let's see. So looking at the goals that are, so I just went onto the website and I don't see, so I can see our energy committee goals are listed there. Then I see the tracking of how the Board of Selectmen is the sustainability goals. The 2 have nothing in common with each other other than Solarize.
Okay, hang on. Let me pull my hard copy here.
Yeah, because there's just all the things, Tara, that you had just mentioned. The green communities evaluation of Solarize, so that's the one thing.
So, right. So what I was doing is I was basically recapping because I don't have a specific update. I don't have direction from anybody to give a specific update. So I basically just kind of went and looked because I've been working on these goals for a different project. And when I came across them, I thought, oh, this is great. I think the Energy Committee is going to love this. I wasn't sure if all of you were aware of this.
Right. So I got that. So you have no complaints about you presenting. That was fantastic. But just as I look at it, really see it writing, I'm sorry to be a broken record on this, but so we're at a disconnect. I don't know what committee will help the town with these sustainability efforts if we're focused on the operational plan, which is all about other things. So and we have, in time of COVID, we have trouble making copies. So thinking that we're going to accomplish all of this.
Right. No, and I honestly don't say, I'm not trying to make the copies a big deal. I honestly don't think that's a big deal at all. I think that would be totally fine. That's my feeling. I do. That's how I feel. So, I mean, I'm
really enough. Seriously, enough about the copies. I can just make those and get them to everybody. Not to worry. But I think Susan is raising a different issue, which is that we're at this point in our efforts to be very focused on community efforts because we're satisfied on that. And are we giving the selectmen the help they need on official town stuff or the help they think they might use?
So can I share that?
Sure.
The new chair of the Board of Selectmen has a very strong personal commitment to climate issues. Would love to get a briefing from a group of us about what we're discussing, what our plans are, and would probably be happy to guide us on how to share this. I mean, I got a call from him like just before this meeting to talk about some of these questions because he's, he's.
So could we invite him to a meeting? I was also actually to address Susan's concerns. They're certainly valid, and I still believe, and it's been difficult. I will reach out to Mary Alice with a CC to Dan, and maybe see if we can get Dan to give us an update at the next meeting. I still have the email that I sent out. I think it was just to Joyce and Susan regarding some of the concerns that had come up from 2 meetings ago. So I'm certainly happy to pass along an invitation to Dan. If the committee would like to invite Mark Forrest, I think that would be a great idea. I agree with you. I think he probably would love to hear. So that's certainly, again, that's up to the committee entirely, but I think it's a good idea to invite him. I believe he was scheduled to attend the Recycling and Solid Waste Advisory Committee meeting last month, but it was canceled. So I see that, it just looks to me as if, he is a strong advocate for energy. That's my feeling.
Is there general support for an idea following up on Tara's suggestion and Barry's suggestion here to invite Mark to our next meeting in September, and then we could maybe bring the 2 things that Susan saw as potentially diverging to come closer together?
Especially if that's the thing is if that operational plan, if people feel like, so you're all committed to the operational plan, and would we even want to open our mouths to say we're going to commit to even more? Or are we, I don't know. I'm at a place where, you all know where I'm at. I'm just kind of done with signing up stuff that's not conceivably possible in my lifetime. So go for it. But it feels unrealistic to me to take all of this on and have the traditional role of the committee kind of left out to dry. So I think it would be great to have Mark at the September meeting, and you might want to look at what you're willing to sign up for. If he says, great, you guys do all of this, and we really need you like to take on the behavior-based energy reduction program, which we were trying to be getting, you know, I'm already forgetting his name because he's already gone, has tried to give to us for 2 years. We haven't taken it on. So,
Rich? You mean Rich?
Yeah, Rich. Yeah, Rich was trying to get us to take that on. So if, in knowing who's going to take Rich's place, either.
So my feeling is that there is a, they are actively seeking an assistant town administrator. So, and I know I had seen somewhere mentioned within the goals of the Board of Selectmen to have somebody, to hire somebody to take over the municipal government operations director position. I don't know where that is right now. Not exactly sure where it stands, but I know it's definitely on their radar. And then on back to the updates, those I think were more updates. Like there was a municipal vulnerability preparedness meeting that I attended. Joyce, I think you were there. A couple of other energy members were there.
Yep.
Rick Bienvenu was there from Eastham now. Jeff Colby, John Sawyer. No, not, was it John Sawyer or Phil Simonian? One of the two, or maybe both were there. But, you know, people, so, I mean, that was kind of different. That wasn't so much anything to add to the Energy Committee's humongous to-do list. It was kind of more of just an overall energy update that was coming from their goals. So.
Well, and that probably is a good list of, when you think of it, the attendees at that meeting, a good list of who might be interested in knowing what we were actually up to, you know, at some point. But I think I can allay one worry of Susan's here. Just a reality check. You know, this behavioral modification thing that Rich wanted us to do, and we all dreaded it. I mean, it's one thing to go through after a Board of Selectmen meeting and turn off the lights that are shining sometimes in people's offices with the door open. But we don't have to do that. We aren't going to be able to do that for ages because of the pandemic. We can't even go in and see who's wasting energy. We're not allowed. So I say we get to coast until there's a vaccine on that.
Yeah.
One less thing. Okay, so anything else on this question of our action plan, our annual operating plan? If there aren't any more questions, I'll move on to Solarize Plus.
I have a question.
Oh, Mike?
First a comment. The Mass Energy Insight is providing online training in August, September, and October. You may recall that MEI is the keeper of energy usage data throughout the state. I still have a computer account with them that works, and so I will try to attend most of their offerings. That will give me the baseline data to use for us to measure our progress towards meeting our 2025 goal. And along those lines, I would just ask if anybody has been able to do anything with regard to the tasks that they accepted responsibility for last time.
Mike, on the Mass Energy Insight, if you could send me those online training links, I'd like to join that because I also work with that and I haven't got any of those training links.
Okay, we'll do.
Full accounts with that.
Okay, anybody else want to comment, make a request, or give an update?
I'll give an update on my part on the website. That's what we're on, Solarize Plus, right?
Well, I'm talking specifically about the tasks that were in the annual operating.
The operating plan, okay.
that Solarize is next on the agenda, I think.
Well, if no one has any updates on that, let's just all plan on giving a short update on where we are at the September meeting, okay? Mike put in a lot of work on this. Agreed, everybody?
Agreed. I'll see you in September.
Agreed.
Okay.
Bye.
Okay. Well, Mike, back to you for the Solarize Plus and what's up with that.
Okay, well, first, a couple of big thank yous. One to Sandra for all she's been doing with the website, the logo, the emails, the phone, etc. And please don't burden Sandra with any extraneous requests along those lines, right?
Yep.
A big thank you to Bob for stepping up to the plate to hold those info sessions at the senior center where he'll discuss renewable energy, Solarize Yarmouth, etc. Too bad that he didn't have anybody in his first open date yesterday, but things will happen, and I don't look for much until after Labor Day, quite frankly. I don't know about you, Bob.
Yeah, I think that's, a lot of it depends on how quickly the senior center itself gets active again.
Yeah. Well, if we get this announcement out on the Solarize Yarmouth program grants that we've gotten, that may drum up some business. Also, a big thank you to Barry for all he's done with the warrant for the fall meeting and everything else that's drumming up interest, I think, in renewable energy. And with regard to that formal announcement, should we go about doing that? And if we should do it very soon, how would we do it? I don't know. Joyce, Tara, or somebody, you know how we should go about making those kind of announcements? Where's it go? In the newspaper? Or?
My thought, Mike, would be that we would have something in the selectmen's packet for next week. Their next meeting is on the 11th. Just a sort of elevator pitch paragraph on it with the announcement that we did get the grant. And then that we ask Mary Alice and Dan to have that announcement as part of the public comment, you know, the way they do when like policemen are getting promotions or stuff like that. Sometimes you can see a little reservation in public comment. And not for us to kind of wait to have a big agenda item and a presentation, but just announce the news and use that as a way to get people interested and to know that this is coming. Since I have some stuff to announce about the compact, I'm planning on going on the 11th, and I could go announce the compact stuff and then say, but Energy Committee Mike Duffy has an announcement that's specific to Yarmouth, and, you know, beam at your good news and then have you deliver the good news and be the visible face of this since you're running it.
Okay, that would be the extent of the announcement, just that, nothing in the newspaper or anything like that, unless they wanted, just a reporter was there and wanted to include it.
Well, I thought that at one of the Solarize update meetings, we had decided not to do press release stuff till after Labor Day because we postponed our start.
Okay, so you're looking at a two-step process here.
Yeah. If that works for you, because really, you're heading Solarize Plus, so the final say is your judgment call.
Well, it's a courtesy announcement to the Board of Selectmen, and then we really public after, okay, that's fine with me.
Okay, and you're free next Tuesday?
I think so.
Okay, it's a date.
They meeting at the same regular?
Who usually covers the selectmen's meeting for the local press?
Sometimes it's Christine Legere, but it seems to be varying lately. It may be that people are on vacation, or it may be that the Cape Cod Times has fewer people than it used to.
I know the Register, for instance, is a shadow of its former self.
Yes.
In the last year, it has gone to almost nothing.
I think if we wrote a little article about ourselves for the Register, it could probably go in as is. They're so understaffed.
Exactly.
Okay. One thing I wanted to mention was to everybody was, as a result of the last Solarize meeting, they said there will be no new Solarize grants for 2021. So I guess that just means, well, I think there's two towns going with it, right? Us and who's the other one?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's probably likely to be it. Now, finally, I think, Barry, did you have some important information you wanted to share on Solarize here? No? Yes? No?
Well, do you mean like the regional plan?
Yeah, that we talked about a couple of days ago.
Yeah, no, I think that's kind of the next on the agenda. So
is that a separate agenda item?
Well, or it melds together, but that's what I'm going to talk about anyway. So
okay,
should we move to that?
Yeah, that's all I have then, Joyce.
Okay.
And Joyce, just a reminder, I have to leave right now.
Okay. Well, we'll take extra good notes on the next section, Steve, so that you'll be kept up to date.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And
happy anniversary.
Yeah, and a virtual glass of champagne to you and your bride.
I think he's gone already.
Okay, so Barry, so much activity. I'm dying to hear an update on the Climate Action Network and Energize and all the things that you've been up to.
So first, thanks everybody for sending your addresses so I could send you copies of the petitions. I've gotten a couple of them back, but most of them haven't actually come back yet. So if you're still sitting on petitions and going to sign them, mail them back when you can. Bigger picture is, so Yarmouth Climate Action Network is now, as of July 16th, part of a Cape Cod Climate Action Network that has folks representing at least 14 of the 15 towns. We don't yet have folks in Bourne. And the big project that we are talking about doing Cape-wide is something that we're provisionally calling Energize Cape Cod, which is really a clone of Solarize. I mean, the idea is that we will produce a package that offers residents and businesses discounted rooftop solar PV, access to heat pumps, works with Cape Light Compact on energy audits and efficiency improvements, promotes electric vehicles, and packages that at a regional level so that individual towns don't need to go through what we've gone through on Solarize in terms of, inventing the wheel, and promotes it Cape-wide so that it has the, a higher level of visibility, hopefully. This emerged from the July meeting, so this is a brand new notion. We're working closely with David Mead Fox, who led the Energize Outer Cape projects in Provincetown, Wellfleet, Truro, and Orleans 2 years ago, and is back in action and is helping us figure out a way to do this on a scaled up basis for the whole Cape. And it has a whole set of implications for Solarize Yarmouth that Mike has joined the loop of figuring out for us globally. At the threshold level, if Energize Cape Cod is going to be branded and promoted on the Cape as a whole, does it make sense to share that branding? Outer Cape Energize was funded actually by Solarize, but got their approval to brand locally as Energize so that it made more sense, including the heat pump side of it, as long as they kept the Solarize label on all of, in addition, on all the material. But it also extends to if there's going to be a process of choosing a group of local Cape solar installers to make a deal on a price for installations all over the Cape, is that likely to be a better price than we could get on a one-off RFP for Yarmouth itself? So should we collaborate with the rest of the towns on a process for negotiating a deal with installers? And all of this is, these are brand new questions. I'm not suggesting answers, but it's a set of issues that it presents to us and opportunities it presents to us. The notion of the Cape-wide program is it makes it much easier for other towns that haven't spent 2 years getting ready to do this to hop on board. I messaged Susan on the side because I know, you know, people probably remember last year her desire to bring Dennis into the Solarize project with us and just couldn't overcome the hurdles. That clued us that this is a really hard thing for towns to do, so that if we made this easier, packaged it as a turnkey project, that volunteers in the local towns simply have to go out and publicize it, which isn't nothing, but it's a lot easier than the whole process of, you know, picking an installer, going through the RFP process, designing the information materials. So that's the big picture of what the Climate Action Network is hoping to accomplish next year. It's audacious, but you know, we have several months to work through it. We've been talking with the Clean Energy Center as to what they can do to help, given that they're not offering Solarize to other communities next year, and they're interested in thinking about, could they actually provide some of the same tech support to the whole Cape that they provided in Solarize without the marketing grants, because that's not funded for next year. But that's not the only critical role they play. So we're going to be talking with the Clean Energy Center, the Cape Light Compact, CVEC, and the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative as partners on all sorts of pieces of this. But you know, I am psyched that this could scale up what we've envisioned doing in Yarmouth to be accessible to the whole Cape, which obviously has a larger impact and is, I think, what all of us have hoped would happen if we do this successfully in Yarmouth. We're just kind of jump-starting it.
The Climate Action Network is not directly affiliated with any of the towns. Is that correct?
Right. It's a volunteer organization that's sponsored by the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, and will be asking for support from the energy committees in all the towns, although only 12 towns have energy committees. We haven't figured out what to do in the other 3 towns yet, but we'll be asking for support from the energy committees and from ultimately the towns for the program. But we won't need, you know, money or formal supervision by the towns, so that it's a private sector volunteer initiative.
I think one of the problems as voiced by the attorney on our committee was the concern for town liability if installers screwed up or whatever. So if this is a private organization, that part of it may be overcome. The other issue, I don't know if you remember, was the fact that we only had at the time 5 members, of which only 4 were active. And I'm out of town for half of the year. So there really wasn't anybody that could take on the role of mentoring. So this actually may be something that I hope I can resurrect some interest.
And we have some other volunteers in Dennis who couldn't, not enough, frankly, to do this on their own. But I'm hoping, as in a lot of towns, a combination of folks from the Energy Committee who care about it and volunteers who aren't part of it will be able to collaborate and put an effort together.
Well, if you know of these volunteers that have interest in alternative energy, please pass their names my way, because our committee is not full and we're looking for members.
We'll talk.
Thank you.
And Barry, I've got to find the private message that you sent to me so I can respond to you, but I really think this is something to consider, because it's just about as easy to use the marketing dollars for Yarmouth or abroad. I mean, it's difficult to target Yarmouth only in some respects. It's almost like it would be easier to target the whole Cape. And that's really something timing wise and everything to figure out. It's kind of neat that it's not, Yarmouth isn't all launched already, because there could be some value there. And to have a group of installers would be really important too, because it can't all be given, all this work across the Cape, if it was given to one company, it would be kind of unfair to all the good solar companies we've got on Cape Cod.
Yeah. No, and actually Jim Wolf, who I think most people here know, he attended the last Energy Committee meeting from Cape Air, just signed on yesterday to help us think through how to work with the installer community, because he spent a lot of time hanging out with them, and it's another whole set of questions to think about. But we have in him another asset for just thinking more creatively about how do you negotiate a deal with a group of companies to get a good price and enough assets, because if this really happens Cape-wide, it's a larger number of installations than if it's just happening in one town.
Yeah.
Barry, how are you and Mike planning to coordinate on this?
Well, Mike and I have talked about Mike joining the core planning team for this larger Cape-wide Energize effort. Mm-hmm. So Mike will be in the loop, and to the extent that he wants to and is willing to, because I think he'll want and need real-time information about what is actually happening with the Energize idea. This idea is literally 2 weeks old, so I don't want to over-exaggerate how much we've already figured out. But David Mead Fox is a huge resource also. The guy who led the Outer Cape effort,
well, as you know, everybody, that I've brought it up a number of times with the CEC folks as to whether, if we have an installer under contract and some folks from our neighboring towns we know would like to participate, can we include them in that? And there seems to be no problem with CEC with us doing that. However, when we talk about the whole Cape as a whole, and I know, Susan, you said, it's almost, hard to just market Yarmouth without marketing the entire Cape. But if we talk about holding face-to-face meetings, going door to door and stuff like that, we're not going to have the resources on the Yarmouth team to go ahead and do that. And
no one is answering their doors either.
It's going to be a fine line here as to what we do and what we can't do. I mean, I'd say as a minimum, I'd like to include Howard and Dennis, who we originally had the idea for before, if they can drum up some folks out there that are interested in it, and if the installer that we have has the capability of adding on those additional installations, and also if he will give us additional credit for that towards providing another 1 or 2 free installations to either the town or to nonprofits, then let's go for it. But when we talk about the entire Cape, I don't know, that's a bigger picture.
It's a good point, Mike. And what I think it would take, what I'm thinking of is it would take a different form of marketing in the time of COVID. It could be, radio spots and just everything digital, social media. It would be nothing in person, since nothing else is happening in person.
That could burn up our marketing money pretty quickly, I suppose.
But
Right.
again, we're talking about next year, so there's some possibility that the current circumstances could change by sometime next year. And we postponed the launch from this year in the hope that by time we're in the heart of this, we'll have somewhat more normal settings, but obviously we can't count on that.
And it seems like we have a sort of starter list in the people who signed the petition, people who might well be interested in things energy, either for themselves or who would know people who might be interested in solar. I was encouraged to see how many signatures were coming in.
How many you got, Joyce?
21.
Oh boy.
But I'm not done. I'm still trying to get
Okay,
people.
no. I'm hoping.
I have 11, Barry, with 4 more coming, so I'll be up to 15.
Cool. Keep those cards and letters coming. Okay. So that's really all I had. It's and it's obviously there'll be more information because this is fast breaking and new, and we'll hopefully have a clearer sense of what this may look like in another month.
It's amazing.
Yeah. It will be great. It will give people something positive to work on during this weird year and a half, however long it turns out to be. Any questions for Barry? Well, thank you, Barry. That was inspirational. Our last item is members' comments and proposed agenda items. Any late breaking news?
This is Bob. I'm wondering if anybody has noticed the company My Generation Energy and the big advertising blitz that they're on.
Yes, Luke, the founder, moved to Australia, and it seems like it got much more commercially smart, after being founded by a high school physics teacher.
Well, I mean, I hear them on, I don't know, well, I only listen to WCAI, so it must be on WCAI, and I got an email from them today as well. Also, I just wanted to mention my interaction with the Energy Source tree slayers this morning. They came down Pine Street and parked in front of my house, and they started working on a tree right across the street. It was actually 2 trees that were hanging over a cable that was going across, a wire that was going across the street, and they started working on it, and they cut down one of the trees, and then they left. And the tree that they left there is still in a dangerous position vis-a-vis the cable that the electric wire that it is supposed to be protecting. They're supposed to be protecting. I mean, it was just a crazy scene, and I'm sure the fellows who were doing the actual cutting were doing it from a plan that had been given to them. Some arborist had probably come down the street and noticed it, and was it just the whole thing badly done or what? But the neighbor across the street is still in as much danger of having his electricity cut off by in a hurricane as he was this morning, and they've done their work supposedly.
And you're concerned about Eversource because you feel they're not doing their own best practices if they've left anything green in their wake?
Yeah, well, so to speak. I mean, when I looked at it, when they came and I looked at what they were going to do, I said, now that is a good thing to be done. That is obviously, I had never even noticed it before. It's not a big tree. It was not two big trees. They were just only high enough to be a danger to that particular wire, and those wires are only for one residence. So, you know, it's only the neighbor that's going to be hurt by it. But I mean, the job just wasn't well done. It's as simple as that.
They marked 2 trees on my property 3 years ago to come down because they were afraid they were going to fall on their wires, and they still haven't come back and taken them down.
Well, I've lost three trees in the front of my house to them. They hacked up one so bad that I had to bring in a commercial person and take the whole thing down. And it had already caused the wire to the main cable, the high power cable that's at the top of the cables that go down the street. It had already had a branch broken off of it, which destroyed that cable. We have a spliced cable in front of our house.
Can I, before we finish up, can I make an announcement?
Yes.
So if anybody is not yet receiving the the climate action alerts from the Cape Cod Climate Change Collaborative, I'm going to resend out a link to that because I'm now the reporter for that. And this, in the next few days, there'll be a new one coming out. And one of the things that has on it is a success story about solar installation being designed into the Sandwich Senior Center. So they're building a senior center. This is what could have happened for our DPW building, and hopefully will, with Dan Knapp, really like to see this happen for every building in the future. We do have a library coming in like 5 years. So it's a great story, and I'll send you the link. And the Sandwich Can, which is Judith Holt and Lee Burns and some other people, they behind the scenes, because there wasn't an energy committee at the time, helped the town realize that they really need to get a net zero building, and they supported the hiring of a good architect, and they connected them with Cape Light Compact, which the town wasn't really thinking of, and they're now building a net zero building. They're going to put it out for RFP pretty soon. But it shows a way to collaborate instead of working against, like, you know, waiting till it happens and then working against it, is to start from the scratch. So I just want to share that with all of you, and please get the alerts when I send you the link to it, because you can get great stories like this every 2 weeks.
Susan, I do have it on our Energy Committee news.
Oh, great.
So it was posted up there this week.
awesome. Thank you, Sandy. That's great.
Thank you, Sandy. Any other member items, or do we close with the happy story from Susan? Okay, I guess we're done. Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I so move.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Well, everyone have a wonderful month until we next see each other. Our next meeting on the first Tuesday is strangely before Labor Day. So this isn't a long goodbye. This is 4 weeks. But thank you all for coming today, and we'll all keep working on the stuff we're working on. Watch for something in the mail that involves our action plan, our annual 20 to 21 annual operating plan. And Susan Klein, I don't have your mailing address, but if you'd like to get a copy of this, just zing me an email with the mailing address and I'll get you one. Okay.
And thanks for all of your interesting information.
Oh, it's a great group, isn't it?
It is.
Well, thank you all. Keep safe and see you in September.
Thanks, Joyce. You guys are all awesome. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.